Hello, welcome to Yoga with Megan. We're going to explore flexion and extension of the spine today in this level 1 practice. So basic movements for the spine. Flexion would be what we call forward folding or rounding. So make that big round back, that's your flexion, right? And extension is what we call in yoga back bending. So we're creating space in the front body and contracting through the back body. But we're going to do a little bit of this in a nice, gentle vinyasa style to get the spine moving. If you're like me, we've been sitting quite a bit, so think of lubricating your spine in this practice today. So we're going to start down on the floor. More than likely, you are going to wish and want a block to sit on. And if you don't have a block, you can use a cushion. But you're going to want something like that. If you have 2 blocks, all the better. You may be using them in other postures. But grab a block if you don't already have one. Coming down onto the floor, place your feet on the floor. Just take a moment to find your breath, and we can help facilitate this movement in the spine through our breath. So breathing a little bit fuller and deeper. Imagine that as you're breathing in, you're pressing the back of the rib cage and the shoulder blades into the floor. You feel your chest expand. And then that slow breath out, letting it all out, and feeling yourself collapse back into the earth with gravity. So breathing into the back and the side body and the front body. You can feel the floor underneath the back body. And exhale and release. So we're going to start with a simple Apanasana just to get the low back warmed up. Apanasana is when we take the feet off the floor, so if your knees are long, let your lower legs dangle. Take your hands to the backs of the thighs so your arms are long, and your arms are what does this, what makes this motion, not your legs. Your legs are relaxed. As you breathe out now, draw your navel center in, empty the belly, empty the chest, and draw your thighs into your body. Let your tailbone lift just a little bit so you feel that stretch through your low back. And then as you inhale, press the thighs away. So just very basic movement, beginning to find you'll feel that flexion through the low back, through the lumbar area as you exhale. And you can even start to inhale and press the tailbone into the floor slightly so you'll feel more of an active extension through the low back on the inhale. So the inhale, tailbone into the floor, feel that little arch or curl in the low back. Exhale, draw the thighs in. Let the tailbone lift. So flexion and extension for the low back, just with Apanasana. Imagine as you're exhaling, you're squeezing everything out of your body by drawing the thighs in. And remember, the legs are just hanging. You can take different variations for the hips. Your legs might be right at the center, maybe the knees touching. Or you can take your legs wider apart as you do this, almost like a happy baby pose. Just warming up the low back. And that's what we're going to do next. Widen the legs apart. We're coming into happy baby. So take the wider legs. You can keep your hands to the backs of the thighs as you begin to extend up through the heels. If it's available, you can grab your ankles or the pinky toe sides of your feet. But if you find your shoulder blades lifting off the ground and your neck tightening, then take ankles or backs of thighs. So I'll take my ankles for now. We're going to roll around just a little bit. So this is a slight position of flexion for the back. And just massaging the back, letting the hips warm up. And then begin to draw the thighs towards you. Take the thigh bones all the way towards one another and towards your ribs. And on exhalation, create a squeeze, a little ball. And if you want, you can even tuck your chin towards your chest. Draw everything in, tongue towards the tailbone. So the front body is contracting and the back body is rounding into that position of flexion. And this will be your exhalation when we do this in movement. Release on the inhalation. We're going to take a full body stretch. I like to call it a full body yawn. Go through this first one slow. So taking your legs out, you can reach your hands overhead. And I want you to let your weight come into the tailbone and the tops of the shoulders so your back will arch away from the floor. So there's that extension. Take a few breaths, see if you can feel that arch through your back. Notice where the weight is resting into your back. And then we'll do this in movement. You can do 1 breath per movement, or you can go even slower. So on the exhalation, I'm drawing in and curling in, front body contracted, back body rounding into that like the forward fold position. Inhale into the back bend position, reaching, exhaling and rounding. So you can think, inhale into that arched back, exhale, curl the back, the center of the spine into the floor. Make sure you're doing this to your breath. Inhale, front body expands as your back body arches. Exhale, draw in through the navel center, hug your thigh bones in. Let's do one more full round. Inhale, stretching it out. Exhale. There, you're rounding into it. This last one we're going to hold for just a few breaths. If the neck is straining in any way, you can drop your head down. But hug your thighs in towards one another, ribs towards the thighs. Let the tailbone lift, let the shoulders lift. See if you can build a little bit of heat. Exhale, release that. Inhale, take a full body stretch. And this time, if you want to get a little bit more, you can clasp your hands into a basket, turn your palms away from your mat. Really feel that arch. Breathe in and out of your ribs. Noticing the arch through your back, relaxing the shoulders down away from the ears. You can activate your legs by pressing through the heels and the balls of the feet. Sensing that arch in your back. One more full breath in and out. Exhale. Just drop wherever you drop, wherever your body wants to relax, and find your neutral spine. So wherever you feel the floor is supporting you. And then one of the first poses we often do for back bending to start to strengthen a little bit more into those back muscles is often bridge pose. So we're going to go into that bridge pose. It's a wonderful pose. Feet to the floor. Lengthen your tailbone towards the front of the mat. You can take your arms to the sides, pressing the backs of the hands into the floor so you feel like you can draw your arm bones, upper arm bones underneath you. Keep the neck long. And initiate this from your feet. Press the heels into the floor and the balls of the feet. And once you feel that little bit of pressure into the floor, you'll feel your leg muscles engage and then lift up. And exhale. Come down. And notice how you're doing this naturally. And we're going to go to a specific method that I like to do to get a little more movement or change the shape of the spine slightly more. So imagine your spine like a piece of tape. And now when you're lifting up, peel your spine off the floor. So one vertebrae at a time. It might come all the way up to the shoulder blades if it's available. And then like you're sticking it back down, start from the upper back, slowly release your spine back down till you come all the way to the tailbone. Roll that tailbone forward. Inhale, lift, tailbone, sacrum. Feel your lumbar spine lifting, all the space around your ribs. You're peeling yourself off the floor. And then you're sticking your spine back down one vertebrae at a time. Remember to initiate from your feet though too. Press into the feet so the legs are strong. And create a little bit of that arch and curl even within the bridge pose. You're really going to feel more of the arch at the top of the inhale. Do one or two more in flow. And then back to the center. Take your arms out to your sides. Exhale, let the knees fall to the left, some windshield wipers. Inhale back to the center. Exhale, letting knees fall to the right. Doing just a few rounds of this in between. Feeling that stretch through the sides of the body. I like to take my head and roll it in the opposite direction of the knees, but knees are just falling one way on exhale. Effort to lift up on the inhale. Do one more full round. And next time you find your knees to the right, let them stay there. Slide your left arm a little bit further overhead, letting your legs fall to the floor. Breathe in that left side body. Relax the shoulder. You can turn your head towards your left shoulder if you'd like. Even here we have a little bit of arch through the waist. Almost like a back bend just for that left side body. Turn the head back to the center. You can slide your arm back down to where it's comfortable. Inhale the legs to the center. Exhale, let the legs fall to the left. You can slide your right arm further overhead if it's comfortable, just creating that space all the way from the armpit through the waist. You can turn your head towards your right shoulder. Feel that right side body lengthening and arching. And sliding the arm back down, turn the legs back to center. Do one more round of bridge pose, and this one adds some arms and head movement. So you're going to start with your arms once again down at your sides, palms facing up. Feel your feet, place those heels right underneath your knees. And we're going to peel our spine off the floor just like we did before, but now we're going to add the arm by, as you lift up through your pelvis, reach the left arm up overhead and turn your head towards the right shoulder. And then exhale, roll the head back to center and take the arm back down. Inhale, peel the spine off the floor as the right arm comes overhead. Head turns to the left shoulder, so opposite of the arm. Exhale, head down, arm down, head back to center. So see if you can create a little bit of that arch through the side where the arm is reaching, just like we did in that last windshield wiper hold. Lifting the spine one vertebrae at a time and then letting it come back down one vertebrae at a time. Still peeling yourself off the floor. Just going as high as you can with the pace of your breath. And the head just rolls. See if you want to do one more to either side, whichever side you're on right now. Reach the arm. Exhale back down. Finish that last half there. Peel the spine off. Arm comes back down. Keep both arms down. Press the backs of the hands into the floor. Engage the legs, pressing into the ball mounds of the feet and the heels, and then inhale into the bridge that you want to hold for yourself. So this is strengthening, right? Lift the inner thighs, hug the hips. Draw the fronts of the hips towards one another. Your hands can stay where they are, pressing the backs of the hands in the floor, tucking the shoulders under you. If it's available, you can clasp your hands into a basket and press the pinky fingers into the floor. See if you can feel those muscles lighting up and engaging through your hamstrings, the buttocks, the spine. Sometimes it's helpful if you think of pressing your heels into the floor, but then also pushing your kneecaps forward and drawing your heels towards your buttocks or towards your fingers. Really strong through the backs of the thighs. So we add that leg support to the extension of the spine. Backs of the legs supporting that back bend. Breathing comfortably. When you're ready, if you have any sort of bind, remove your arms. Let that piece of tape come back down to the floor, one vertebrae at a time. Relax it all the way down. Hug the knees into the chest again. This time just roll around on the back. Give your back a little massage. You can rock side to side. And we'll be coming up to seated, so you can roll to one side to come up, or you can rock up. See what works for you. So we're going to be coming into a hero pose, and this is where you may very well want to block. So hero pose, I come onto my shins and my feet, tops of feet pressing into the floor. So sometimes it's one block, it may even be two blocks. But get that block underneath you so that you can be on your shins and your knees aren't way out to the sides. You want to be on the tops of the feet. If for any reason your knees do not want to be in this position, just extend your legs out long. And then rock back and forth, just feeling your sit bones, feel the base of your spine. That's where this movement starts. And see if you can find that center space. And you're going to take your hands onto your thighs. You can slide them towards your kneecaps if they'll go that far. It all depends on your arm length. And finding a cat-cow from this position. So as you exhale, draw your chin towards your chest, press the center of the spine back and tilt your pelvis back. There's your cat pose. And then as you inhale, pull on your arms a little bit, draw your heart forward, your gaze up. There's your cow. And exhaling into the cat. And I like this one because it gets you really moving through the center of your spine. You might feel the pelvis tilting back and forth too. Or think of this as a cat and cow that the focus is more in the upper back and spine. Feel the space through your upper back on the exhalation, in the back side, and the front side on the inhalation. We're going to just take this a little bit deeper. Come back to your center space. If this works for you, you're going to take your hands, fingertips together out in front of you. So now when you're rounding, you're going to you can take your elbows out a little bit and reach like you're giving somebody a big hug. Don't we wish, right? Give someone a big hug. And then as you inhale, take your arms back. Open up through the fronts of the shoulders. Take your gaze up. Exhale, round in for that hug. Inhale, open up, take your gaze up. And exhale. Remember, if this doesn't work, just keep the hands on the thighs. Getting the arms involved, but still initiating the movement from your spine. Arching and curling from the spine. Come back into the next one, open up. And exhale. Drop your hands down. Take a moment in that position and then just sit in a neutral spine. So you want to stack your shoulders over your ears over your shoulders and shoulders over your hips. We're going to do the head a little bit. So same movement. You're going to exhale, chin towards the chest. Let it drop down and then inhale, roll your left ear to your left shoulder. Exhale, drop the chin to the center. Inhale, right ear to right shoulder. So more of a little twist for the neck too. But just letting your head gently go side to side. You might be stalling out somewhere if it feels good to hold. We're going to do that in a moment. Bring your chin back to the center on exhalation. And next time you find your left ear over your left shoulder, just stop there. If you'd like, you can take your right fingertips, drop them or press them into the floor, or just drop the weight of the right arm bone. You can also take your left hand, if it's comfortable, take the fingers just above the ear, press the head into the hand, and then slightly resist. And find your sweet spot by bringing the chin slightly forward or back. Breathing into that right side of the neck, top of the shoulder. If the left hand's wrapped around, take it back. Bring the head back to the center as you inhale. Pause there for a moment and feel the two sides of your neck. As you breathe out, drop the chin down towards the chest. And then inhale, roll the right ear to the right shoulder. Feel it out. You might need to bring your chin slightly forward or back. Find that space that you want to hang out, and then left hand can stay on your lap. You can press fingers into the floor or just let the weight of the arm bone fall to the floor. Staying there or taking the right hand, wrapping around, pressing the head just above the left ear into the hand, and then use the hand not to push the head down, but to traction the neck to lengthen the right ear out towards the outer shoulder. Breathing into that sweet spot. Drop the hand down if it's wrapped around. Inhale the head back to the center. All right, we'll come off of the block. You can roll to one side. Extend the legs out in front of you. Just let those legs wake up a little bit into a staff pose. So you're going to roll your thigh bones in a little bit. Press the backs of the thighs into the floor. Take your hands to your sides. Lift up through the crown of the head. So we want to find that long, engaged, neutral spine. So know where your center space is. Lift out of the low back. Press your rib cage slightly towards the back of your mat and the base of your head. Coming into a moving flexion, but engaged through the spine. So you're going to inhale, reach your arms up. And as you exhale and come forward, bend from the lower hinge at the hip crease, so not your waist. We don't want to round too much yet. I want you to keep the long spine. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, hands through the heart center. And notice I'm not rounding. I'm keeping the shoulders back. So it should feel like a little more work getting into the legs. Inhale, lift up. And exhale, come forward. So keeping the neutral spine as you bow forward. Take it up one more time. This time you're going to inhale up, keep your arms there, plug your arm bones in towards your shoulder blades, hug your arm bones towards your ears. Your arms might be wider, that's okay. And then keeping the long spine, exhale, come forward just a little bit. And breathe there. Should feel like a little bit of work. Remember to take the base of the head back. The head will try to drop forward. Lift up again on inhale and maybe come a little bit further forward. I'm still extending out and up. Draw the navel center in. Press your tailbone and your sit bones down. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, relax the arms for a breath. We're going to do that one more time. So we're trying to keep that long neutral spine, so all the core muscles supporting it at its neutral position. Inhale, sweep the arms up. If it feels like it's too much, you're doing the same thing with hands at the heart center. Hug the arm bones. Reach up on the inhalation, lift the ribs away from the hips. As you exhale, come forward. Inhale, lengthen, press tailbone down, reach through the fingertips. Exhale a little bit further forward. So take it to your point where it feels like you're working. Take the thumbs up towards the back of the mat. Take your gaze up slightly. Don't let that head fall. Feel super engaged through the torso, drawing in through the lower abdomen, reaching out from sit bones. Now, as you exhale, let the knees bend a little bit. Allow your head to drop and round the back into flexion. And if you get there, there's too much discomfort, you can bend the knees more. You can support your head, but let the back and spine relax. If you want to gently rock from one side to the other, you can do that. Breathing out at your center space, and then inhaling and slowly lifting yourself up. Coming into all fours, which is the classic flexion extension move, cat-cow, right? We see it oftentimes on all fours. But we're going to break it down today. So we're going to do one part at a time. So I want you to think of just your pelvis first. And think of your belly button and your sacrum, or even your tailbone, that whole area in the back, but not the lumbar spine. Or think of the pelvis as a bowl. And as you inhale, tilt the bowl down towards the floor. And as you exhale, draw your navel center and your lower abdomen up and draw the tailbone down. See if you can really isolate this movement into the pelvis. Just letting the pelvis come in through that cat-cow. So we're going to break it down for the 3 different parts of the spine. So we're really taking the lumbar, the lower back, through flexion and extension. Drawing up gives you opportunity on the exhalation to engage through your lower abdominal wall. Stretch that abdomen. Feel the back shorten as you inhale. One more round, just moving through the pelvis. I'm not holding myself back in the other areas, but I'm trying to isolate and initiate from the pelvis. And then come back to that center position. And take your knees a little bit closer together if they're not there. And slowly take yourself back into a child's pose and round. So we're going to hold this time in that forward fold position. You can cross opposite hand to elbow in your child's pose if you want. Be restful. Breathe into your backside. So allowing your hips to just fall towards the heels. The weight of the ribs to fall into the thighs. And that's what creates that rounding, the flexion of the spine. Take your hands back up in front of you, come back up to all fours. So now think of your rib cage. We're going to do another round of cat-cow, but from the rib cage. So as you inhale, draw the front ribs towards the floor and drop the back ribs. As you exhale, lift the back ribs towards the sky and draw the front ribs in. So think of upper abdomen and chest wall. Inhale, drop. I like to think of making a smiley face. And the pelvis is going to respond. Don't stop it, but move from your center of your spine, the thoracic area. You got 12 vertebrae to play with there. So big area. And finding that flexion extension. What sometimes helps me if we're having difficulty with anything with weight in it, I just happen to have a bolster. If you've got a little dog or a child at home, put them on your back. No, you can put something on your back and imagine giving it a ride through the rib cage. I'm lifting it up on the exhale, dropping it down on the inhale. So finding our mobility through the center of the spine, which really is the least mobile place. Last round. All right, and then this time, I'm going to take that off my back. We're going to focus on that area a little bit more by coming into a puppy pose. So you can keep your knees as wide as your hips, take your hands out in front of you. Take your hands as wide as your outer arm bones. Inhale, bring the heart forward, extend, and then you can lift your tailbone on that one too, and then exhale. Melt that rib cage down towards the floor, just like you were doing on your inhale before. Melt it down. Breathing in. If there's any discomfort in the shoulders or arms, you can bend your elbows. You could cross opposite hand to elbow. You might have a block underneath your head. So feel that fullness of the 360 degrees of your rib cage all the way around. See if you can direct your breath into the rib cage. If you want to stretch your feet, you can roll your toes under. So we're in a position of extension. You should feel more space in the front body, more compression in the back body. And part of it is just letting your heart, your chest melt towards the floor on exhalation. Think of lengthening from the fingertips or from the crown of the head to the tailbone on the inhalation. We'll take an exhale and then slowly walk your hands back up one more time into our table pose. So the neck is our most mobile part of our body. So let's go ahead and do just neck for a few times. Exhale, chin towards the chest. Inhale, lifting up. So this might seem very easy and breezy, but really explore the movement just through your neck. Keep your jaw relaxed, let it fall open on the inhale. Feel your eyeballs fall on the exhale. Now we've got the neck going. See if you can integrate all three areas of your spine. So your neck, the center of the spine, and the pelvis. Full rounds. This is it. This is your space of mobility through flexion and extension. All right, and then we're going to come back to a neutral spine. Walk the hands slightly forward. Bring your heart forward, coming into a plank. So we're going to engage, just like we did in that active forward fold. Pressing tops of feet into the floor. Lift up through your abdominal wall. Hug your arm bones in towards the side body. Reach through the crown of the head. Watch the head's not dropping. Lift up through your navel center. So give yourself an opportunity to stabilize through your whole core with the spine in neutral. So we don't want to feel like we're in that back bend. We also don't want to feel like we're in the cat pose, right? We're in a neutral spine. Take 3 more breaths here. Let that heat build. And then we're going to come down slowly. Think of letting your heart, so if the belly drops first, do your best to bend your elbows. Let the heart come down first. Strong arms. Coming down onto the floor. I'm going to have you keep your hands where they are and just lift into a light, low Cobra Pose. Pressing toes into the floor. And then from that position, exhale, chin towards the chest. Inhale, lift your head up. And as you're doing this, you're going to find that somewhere in this Cobra Pose, we obviously don't want to look all the way down on the floor, but we don't need to go way up with the neck, right? So find that space where you feel like you still have space in the front of the throat, but without closing off the back of the neck. Then come down, rest for a moment. Let the forehead or the chin come to the floor. Now take the hands behind you with the palms touching the floor. Press the
toenails into the floor, reach the big toes back. See if you can inhale not from the head, but from the chest. Inhale, come up, keep the neck in a neutral position. And exhale. You can come back down, and if you want, you can rest on one cheek when you come down. But keep gazing at the floor just in front of your nose. Lift from the back and spine, not the neck and the head. Exhaling back down. If you want to add a little bit more for the arms, the hands could stay on the floor as you inhale up. Turn the palms outward and thumbs upward so you're rotating your arm bones away from your body. And then exhale. Let the hands fall back down. You can let backs the hands fall into the floor. Let's inhale, lift up into the next one. Reaching and holding. So watch the head's not way up here. Reach the crown of the head forward. Feel those back muscles working for you. Let your chest breath help you to rise forward and upward. Exhale. Come all the way down. Slide your hands next to your rib cage. Press up on an inhalation into all fours. And then exhale, slowly take it back into that child's pose again. Find the flexion of the spine. Let all those back muscles relax. Opposite hand to elbow to make a pillow for yourself, or maybe this time you even want to take the hands behind you, letting the upper back soften and spread. You can shift your hips slightly side to side. And then taking the hands back out in front of you. Next position of a neutral spine will be our down dog. So taking hands out in front of you, so we're hugging to that midline again. Press your hands into the floor. Wrist creases slightly in front of your shoulders. Roll your toes under. Lift up into your down dog. You can shake out your head, like pedal your legs. But think of lengthening, just like when we're in that seated forward fold. The more you can press into your hands, lift your hips up, maybe even bend your knees to lift your hips high. Then let the ankles and the heels descend towards the floor. Hug your arms in, let your head hang. All the way around the torso. If you're not feeling if you feel like you're rounded into that cat pose, or I'm saying into the cow pose, like you're dropping, then lift the rib cage up a little bit. Or you might be the opposite way. Sometimes our footprint is too short, and we're more in like a cat pose. So see if you can find that neutral spine in your down dog. Taking 3 more rounds of breath. Let the head hang in traction. Ears fall between the shoulders. And then widening your feet apart, begin to slowly walk the hands back to the feet. Coming into a ragdoll position, you can take opposite hand to elbow. So this is a big position of flexion. And now gravity is going to help you out. If you want to use blocks, you can too. Otherwise, just dangle. So you want to bend the knees to accommodate the rounding of the spine without discomfort. Feel free to bend the knees as much as you need to. And then if the spine feels good and you're starting to open up a little bit, press into the heels and lift the legs upward. Lift your kneecaps up. Take the thighs back just a little bit. We'll get further into that as you inhale, taking your hands to your shins just below the kneecaps. Come halfway out into your half fold or monkey. Reach out through the crown of the head. Take the thigh bones back. Neutral spine. Draw the shoulders away from your ears. Draw up and in through your navel center on exhalation. Exhale. Bow back down, soft bend in the knees. Inhale, come all the way up. And exhale, hands to the heart center. All right. We're going to do a little movement through chair pose. I'll turn sideways. You don't need to, just so you can see me. So let's start by taking the hands to the heart center and finding just our chair movement. So I'm going to have you inhale, take your hands through the heart center, reach up, press into your heels. As you exhale, you're going to make a big circle with your arms and just sit down into your chair pose. So you're getting a little movement through your arms. And then hands come back through the heart center, press into your heels, lift up.
Exhale, sit back down. So as you explode up, you can keep your palms together now. Take your gaze up so you feel almost more of like a little back bend at the top there. Reach up. Exhale as your arms come around. Draw the navel center in. Draw the knees back behind the toes. Pressing in and up. Exhale, coming all the way down and around. We're going to hold this one in the chair pose. And take your hands, clasp them together. You can either place them on your low back or clasp them together. And draw your shoulders back. Create a little more space through your heart and through your chest. So either hands on the low back. Check to see you can see your toes in front of you. But create that space around your collarbones and the front of the chest. Sitting as deep as you can comfortably, waking up those legs. Take an exhale. Take an inhale. Next exhale, slide your hands down your thighs, come into your forward fold. Release into the floor with the upper body. Take your hands to your shins and inhale, coming halfway out. Neutral spine. Exhale, bow back down. Inhale, come all the way up. And exhale, hands to the heart center. All right, we're going to keep the left foot forward. Step the right foot to the back of the mat for a warrior one. So with this one, you can keep a wider stance, meaning from the long edge of the mat. So if you're heel to heel alignment, it might be harder to get that right shoulder turning towards the front of the mat. You want both shoulders squared off at the front of the mat. So you can take that right foot a little bit wider towards the right side, turn the right big toe forward, spend in and out of the front left knee a few times. Find that good space where you're keeping your knee over the front ankle, staying grounded through the back right foot. And then we're going to take an arm position where the palms are together, and as best you can, hug your elbows in and lift the elbows up towards the collarbones. So this is where we're going to start. And what we're going to do is we're going to do cat-cow through the spine here in this foot position. So as you exhale, you're going to draw in through the navel center, draw your elbows towards your belly, round into that cat position. As you inhale, lift up, let the arms come apart, open the chest. There's your cow or your back bend, right? There's your extension. As you exhale, flexion. And this is going to test the legs for strength. So do your best. Hug that right thigh forward, left thigh back. And let your spine, think of all parts of your spine again. The pelvis, the rib cage, and the head and neck. And exhaling. Wherever you are, take the next inhalation. Open the arms up. We'll take a little bit of a break. Step in or press into that front foot. Draw up through that leg line. Create more space through your chest. Take your thumbs back. If this isn't working for you, these goalpost arms on your hands are at your heart center. Eyes really lift up. Create space across the front of the chest. Now go ahead and bend back into that front knee. Take a few breaths there. Stay strong. We're going to take it a little bit further. So you're going to drop that left hand down and either take it around the low back where the upper arm is resting on the low back. If you want to take it even further, you can reach towards your right hip. Reach that right arm straight up, all the way up, and create a little more back bend, a little more stretching through that right side. And then straighten that front leg. We're going to be doing a pyramid pose. We're going to do it active first, so that's the spine in neutral position, and then we'll do it rounded in that cat position. So this is one where you may want your blocks. So if I didn't cue it yet, but you could take your blocks to the front of the mat if you have them. So drawing your thighs towards one another. I usually shorten my stance. My stance is wider from front to back in a warrior one, and I shorten it to get both hips and both shoulders facing the short edge of the mat. Sweep your arms up to create space. That long neutral spine that we found when we were first sitting on our butts with our legs extended, find that same space.
And then I'm going to have you take your hands to your hip crease because we don't want to fold from the waist. We want to fold from the hip crease. Lift that left kneecap up. Keep that leg line strong. Press into the left heel and slowly hinge forward from your hip crease, little at a time. So you might stop up here, and you could even take your hand to your thigh. You can keep going if it's there. Hands to your shins. Pressing, and if you've got your hand on your leg, press your leg into your hand and resist with the hands. If you're going a little bit further, you can take your hands to your blocks, but I'm not rounding, I'm reaching out. Not the cat pose. Reaching out through a neutral spine. Draw that left thigh bone back and the right thigh bone forward. Find the neutral position for the head. If you want more of a challenge in this pyramid pose, hands could be at the heart center. You could take them out to the sides or forward. So the further the arms go from the body, the more you work, unless it's with gravity. So this is a lot more challenging than this. You're deciding. Draw up through the navel center, lengthen through the tailbone. One more breath. And then as you exhale, find the blocks, find the floor, round your spine. So now you get to fold from that upper hinge at your upper waist and let your body hang. More of a stretch for that left leg. You may need to bend the knee a little bit. Go for it. Feel the spine rounding into flexion. You can just drop with gravity. Use your blocks if you'd like. We're going to come up strongly, inhaling all the way up. Step forward to the front of the mat. Feel the difference in your two legs. You can rock back and forth. Find that point of stability that is most easeful for you in your mountain pose. So you feel strong, but everything's in alignment, that neutral alignment, that nice posture, base of the head reaching back, shoulder blades, just breathing into that space. And then we'll be doing the second side, those same poses. So the right foot is forward, the left foot's gonna step back for a warrior one, Virabhadrasana one. So finding that left thigh bone coming slightly forward, bring that left shoulder around to the front of the mat. Bending in and out of your right knee, warming up the hips. Staying grounded through the back foot. And if you find that when you're doing this, your knee's going way in front of your ankle, then you need to lengthen or increase the space between your feet from front to back of the mat. So remember, we're going to be sitting in these legs, and this is our foundation. We want those to be strong. Then find that space where your legs are going to stay strong. Draw in through the navel center a little bit, or if you already feel like you're compressing your low back, that's where we want to draw in. Take your palms together, your elbows together. Take your gaze slightly upward. And as you exhale, draw the elbows in, round the back. Feel the front body contract and shorten and the back body open. As you inhale, slowly take it up. Open up. Find those goalpost arms, cactus arms, whatever you'd like to call them. Exhale, elbows back together. Round the spine. And all the movements coming from the hips and above. The legs are staying sturdy, hugging the thighs towards one another. Moving with the pace of your breath. Do one more round. Keep those legs strong. Next time we're in those goalpost arms, open it up. Keep that space straight in the front leg for a moment. We're going to realign, double check that you're where you need to be so you can press into the back heel of the back foot. Feel your glutes and your hamstrings help to hold you in that back leg line. Bend into the front knee. Draw the elbows out. Take a few breaths there. Find that little bit of a back bend. Taking gaze up. If this isn't working, hands can be at the heart center instead. Create space around across the front chest and the collarbones. And then keeping that, take just your right hand. It can either wrap around and rest on your low back with the palm facing out, or you can wrap it all the way around towards your left hip. Take just that left arm straight up, lengthen the left side, and then take the left thumb towards the back wall. Feel that whole left side body from the toes through the fingers. That little bit of arch in the waist, it's there for you through the left side. Relax the arm back down. Straighten the front leg. Getting ready for pyramid pose, so I'm going to step slightly forward. I like to keep my hips and my shoulders aligned with the short edge of the mat. You want to jazz up that front leg. It wants to be, we want to relax it, right? But you got to keep it strong. So press the heel into the floor, lift the thigh bone up into the hip, hug your inner thighs towards one another, sweep your arms up to lengthen through your spine. Lift your rib cage. Then as we exhale, I'm going to have you take your hands to your hip crease again. So we're folding from the hip crease here, not from the waist. We're going to keep the long neutral spine, hug the thighs. So part of knowing flexion and extension in your body is knowing when you're not in flexion or extension. So we're trying not to be in flexion or extension. So letting the whole body just sort of slowly dissolve towards the floor. You can stop with your hands at your thighs, pressing thighs into the hands. So you might be further up like this, drawing in. So just notice you start to curve that low back too much if there's too much arch, or if you start to round your rib cage. I'm going to keep reaching out. Hands at the thigh. They can come to the shin. They can come to blocks. Draw your right hip back and the crown of the head forward, lengthen out through the spine. Hands can stay on the blocks. They might be on your legs somewhere. If you want that extra challenge, hands come to the heart center. They can come out to the sides or even forward, and then I might not be able to talk to you anymore, but that's another option. Keeping the spine long. Think neutral. Remember when you were laying on your back, where was that neutral position? One more breath. And now we'll take it into flexion. So you can use the blocks, you can use the floor, maybe bend that right knee a little bit. Exhale, round the back and let yourself fall with gravity. We've released the spinal muscles and might feel more of a stretch through the leg line now. Last breath out, and slowly lifting up, all the way up. Step to the front of the mat. Take it back into your mountain pose. Find your neutral space where you feel graceful and relaxed in your body. We're going to go back into a little bit of the chair pose, but this time I'm going to have you take your big toes together because we're going to do a revolved chair today. So I like to throw a little bit of rotation in when we're doing back bends and forward folds. Sweep your arms up behind you. Take the thumbs up. So I'm coming up through the front body, thumbs back. As you exhale and go down into your chair, imagine take your hands behind you and sit as deep as you can like you're going to touch the floor. Then press into your heels. And inhale and come back up again. Hug the inner leg line. Exhale. Sit down. So don't fight gravity. Let yourself go down on the exhale. Inhaling up. All right. Next time you're going to sit down. So sit deep. Let yourself go as deep into the legs as you can. And then look down. If your knees are way in front of your toes, draw the knees back a little bit. You can let them go in front initially. But then draw back, draw your calf muscles back and your hips. Draw in through the navel center. Take your hands to your heart center. Drawing in through the legs. We're going to twist first to the left. So as you exhale, rotate the ribs. So I'm not changing the shape of the pelvis. Rotate the ribs to the left. Your right arm can come across the thighs. Left hand can stay at the waist. If you're sitting deep enough, then the elbow to the outside, right elbow to the outside of left knee, palms together. One more round of breath there. As you inhale, come back to the center. Reach all the way up. Clasp your hands together. Press your hands towards the sky. Let's exhale and take a little side bend over to the left. Inhale back to the center. Exhale, take your side bend over to the right. Working your pinky fingers down towards the floor. Thumb side of the hand up towards the sky. Inhale back. Exhale, hands come to the heart. Second side. Take your arms, sweep them up through the front. Take your gaze up, so you might even feel that little back bend in the front. Or the front body expanding, back body coming into that arch as you exhale. Sit down, keep the space through the front body, like you're gonna touch the floor. Sit deep into the legs, take the hands to the heart. Look down just for a moment. If your knees are way forward, draw them back, and you might be a little bit higher up, that's okay. Draw in through the legs, so draw the legs towards one another. Then either left hand across your thighs, right hand to your hip. Rotate through your waist and your ribs on exhalation. If you're sitting deep enough, then left elbow to the outside, pray your hands together and pressing. But hugging the knees towards one another, keep the pelvis squared up, let the rotation come through your ribs. Last breath out. Inhale back to the center. Reach all the way up. This time we're going to exhale, take a forward fold to relax your spine. You're going to exhale, let your hands come out wider. They can come to your heart center. Take it all the way down. Feel free to let your knees bend. Inhale, hands to your shins. So this is that monkey pose, reaching out long. If you want a challenge in this last one, hands could come to your waist, hugging your inner elbows, reach out through the crown. So again, we're trying not to round like the cow pose, or excuse me, like the cat pose. I get my cats and cows confused. Reach out long, even if you have to bend the knees, get that spine long first, draw up through the navel center, and then send the thighs back. If you want even more challenge, arms are out to the sides. Or forward. Watch it if you come forward, your weight doesn't go way back. Keep some weight in the toes. Lifting up through the leg line. Long neutral spine. Exhale. Slide the hands down. Put a soft bend in your knees. We're going to come all the way down onto the floor for a moment. Take your legs into Baddha Konasana, so soles of the feet together, let the knees drop open, and just making some circles through your spine. Got one more set of poses. We are going to be on our knees, so I can show you how you can double up your mat, or you can use a blanket. And then coming to the center point. So you're going to come back onto your knees. And you're going to come to the long edge of your mat. And then coming all the way onto your shins and your knees. Stack your ears over your shoulders and your shoulders over your hips. We're going to take just the left leg out to the side. And when you do that, keep that big toe side pressing into the floor, or maybe the whole sole of the foot. But watch that the toes don't flip up. You want to roll that left thigh bone slightly inward and downward. And then hug your thighs just a little bit. My right hip is right over. You want right hip right over the knee. Just get comfortable with the leg position first. If you need to bend that left knee slightly, you can, but try to draw it back. So you're making that leg strong. Take your hands to your hips, so that lower rim, that lower waist crease. Cat-cow again. So as you exhale, chin towards the chest, round your back into your cat. And let your pelvis fall back just a little bit. As you inhale, draw your thighs forward, your belly forward, take your gaze up, elbows back. Exhaling into the cow. So you can really get the legs to move more in this one too, since we're on our knee. But they're not initiating the movement, they're just kind of following along. Flexion and extension. And next time you find yourself at center where it feels like ears over the shoulders and shoulders over the hips, stack that diaphragm right in the center. Drop your left arm, take your right arm, reach straight up towards the sky first with the fingers right over the shoulder. Plug your arm bone in. So think of your whole side body as you exhale, that whole right side body lengthens. Breathing into the right side. You can take your left ribs slightly forward and your right ribs back. Hug the thighs for support. Inhale, calm back up. One more pose here. Reach your arms both up overhead. And just like we did in the puppy pose, you're going to keep this leg line if it's there for you. You're going to exhale, take your hands down to the floor. Start to walk forward as if you're in all fours, right, in a table pose. And you can stay there. Or to get a little bit deeper into the back bend, into that cow position, walk your hands forward, start to melt your heart down. It'll feel a little bit like your down dog. You might stay here with your arms long. Draw those shoulder blades onto your back. Or if it's there, you can work even further, hugging your thighs, taking your head to the floor. Nice stretch for the upper back and arms. If you're close, not quite to the floor, sometimes that block is just perfect. Putting the block underneath your head. Check to see your hands are as wide as your outer shoulders. You got space through those shoulder blades, and then draw your armpits down towards the floor. Breathing into your chest. One more breath. And then walk your hands back in, come to all fours first on your hands. And then you can use your thigh muscles, hug them together, come back up to all four. Step that left leg in for a moment. So my apologies, I forgot on the first side, but if you want to double up your mat for extra padding underneath your knee, it's that simple. Just fold your mat up. Get a little more padding going. We're doing the opposite side now. So your left leg will stay where it is, hip right over the knee. Take your right leg out to the side. Maybe bend in and out of that knee first, opening the inner thigh. And then press into the big toe side of the foot. Draw that right thigh bone back, but internally rotate it just a little bit. So roll the thigh in. Get it engaged. Hands to the hips. And you're going to do your cat-cow. So as you exhale, chin towards the chest. Round, let your thighs fall back just a little bit. This will help to strengthen the thighs. Feel the space through the back body, the contraction through the front body, and then inhale, space through the front body, back, contraction through the back. Can you draw your elbows back? Exhaling and dropping down. Inhaling up. And exhaling down. Think of every other cat-cow we do, whether it's in table pose or the one we did seated on our shins in hero pose. Just changing the position of the legs. Same movement for the spine. Next time you find yourself up with that nice line of ears over the shoulders and shoulders over the hips, drop your right hand, take your left arm up towards the sky, plug the arm bone into the shoulder blade, and as you exhale, take the whole left side body over towards the right. Your gaze goes wherever your neck is comfortable, hugging inner thighs, maybe needing to bring the thigh bone slightly forward, so sometimes we collapse back here, so come forward. Checking in with your breathing. And
as you breathe in, lift up. We'll drop the left arm down. We're going to come like a table pose, hands to the floor. So taking the hands down, you can let the hips go back to do that. Coming onto all fours, bring those hips forward again so they're right over your knee, or right, left hip over left knee. Press into your hands and just pause there for a moment first, more in your neutral spine. See how that feels. If that's working for you, begin to walk the hands forward and watch that your hands aren't too close together. Keep them at least as wide as the outer shoulders. I like to go even wider to give more birth to my shoulder blades, more space. You can pause there on your hands and arms. You can also come to forearms. I didn't do that on the other side, but that's there. If you know that you're better with a block, put that block underneath your head. You can rest your head on the block or head all the way down to the floor. Think inhale, lengthen from the fingertips to the tailbone. As you exhale, melt the heart down to the floor. Draw the outer arm bones towards the floor just a little bit. Think of spinning the inner elbow creases up towards the sky. Press into your thumb and index finger. Then breathing into the ribs. Or maybe it's the thighs that are talking to you. Take one more breath out. And then inhale, use your strong arms, walk them back. And then as you exhale, you can come up. Draw that leg back in. We're going to turn lengthwise on our mat. And this is just to let all of that go through the spine. So take your knees a little bit wider. Big toes can come together and just make some circles. We're going to be going into a wide leg child's pose. So if you want to just go straight there, you can, but move your spine any way you want. So we have that undulation that's there of the cat-cow, but we also can take the side bends, right? And just let your spine find any of those movements that it needs. Free flow. Head and neck move. Think of moving through your rib cage, the pelvis, the low back. Close your eyes. Feel. And then eventually working your way back and landing into the wide leg child's pose, where we should feel a little bit more of a neutral spine. So instead of rounding the back onto the thighs, reach out through the rib cage. If you want, you can cross opposite hand to elbow and use your arms as a pillow to keep more of that neutral spine. Let your head fall down. Relax into the thighs. Release the belly towards the floor. Feel the space in your backside. Feel the position of your body. Sense your arms. Use your strong arms to slowly walk yourself up. Coming all the way up, you can bring your legs, your feet to one side, flip them around. Take your feet to the floor with the knees bent. I'm going to stay sideways. You can stay there too. And then hold on to your shins for a little support. Last round of cat-cow. So as you exhale, tuck your chin towards your chest and let yourself roll onto your sacrum. Chin falls, spine falls. Then inhale, pull forward. Draw the shoulder blades towards the spine. Head of the arm bones back. Exhale like you're falling to the floor. Let your back and spine fall. Inhale forward. Just like this rocking motion, like you're rocking yourself. Remember, it's not all neck. You let your neck respond to the movement of the length of your spine. Do one more. And then the next time you draw forward on your inhalation, keep that little bit of forward motion so that shoulders back, navel center and heart forward. And then you can transfer your hands to the backs of the thighs, press your feet into the floor. We're going to slowly come down. This is our long, last time with that long, engaged, neutral spine. So press the feet into the floor, tuck the chin maybe slightly towards the chest. Watch it, we're not rounding into the back. Lift up through the heart center. When you're, sooner or later, your feet are going to want to fly off the floor. Don't let them press the heels into the floor, especially as you roll through the sacrum. If you want more challenge, you can let go, but come really slow. Like when we were putting that piece of tape back down on the floor, one vertebrae at a time. Controlled. Or something like that. And all the way down whenever you land. You can hug your knees into your chest. Give yourself a little spinal massage. Back and forth and side to side. And then placing both feet on the floor. You can do the twist we did earlier with feet on the floor, just dropping the legs to the left. Or if you want a little bit more in your twist this time, press your feet into the floor. Lift the hips up and shift the hips slightly to the right side of the mat. Let them come down. Now draw your legs into your body and then take your right arm out to your side, and as you exhale, let both knees fall to the left. If they don't comfortably fall all the way down to the floor, always the option of putting a block underneath the bottom knee or between the knees. So you want to keep the right shoulder blade on the floor. You can welcome, just keep the knees bent, or if you like the extended version, you can extend your legs out. That one gets a little awkward for me with a block. But it might be the knees bent, just resting into your twist. You can turn your gaze slightly over your right shoulder. Being still in body. There's an opportunity to be present in mind and breath. Take 3 to 5 more breaths. Just let the weight of your body fall. So much pressure, whatever's been going through us lately. Just let it all go at this moment. This is the right time to be in your body. When you're ready to come out, turn your head to the center. You can slide your right arm to your side, and then as you inhale, keep the feet on the floor. Just walk the legs back to the center. Tiptoe your way back if you'd like. We'll realign the spine, hugging the knees into the chest. You could give yourself another massage. Then 2 ways to take it into the twist, into the rotation, feet to the floor, just dropping the legs to the right if that's more comfortable for you. It's more of a stretch through the waist and the legs. If you want to take it further up the spine, then place your feet on the floor like a bridge pose. Lift the pelvis slightly off the floor. Shift it to the left side of the mat. Hug your knees into your chest. Left arm out to the side, keeping that shoulder blade grounded. You can even press the back of the hand into the floor. And then legs come over to the right. Option to put a block or pillow from home underneath the bottom knee or in between the knees. If they're not supported, support them with something. You can also lengthen the legs out long. Turn your head and neck wherever your gaze is most comfortable.
Meet those points of physical resistance in your body with kindness. There's a lot going on right now, and offering kindness to yourself goes a long way. Whatever you're feeling physically, emotionally, loving kindness. Feel the position of your left arm and slowly slide it to your side. Turn your head to the center. And as you breathe in, you can just come onto your feet, tiptoe your legs back to the center. If there's any final pose you'd like before relaxation, before Shavasana, please take it. Otherwise, I encourage you to do one more full body stretch, especially if you like to take your legs out long for Shavasana. You can take your arms up overhead, arch your back. It's like the final back bend. Press through your heels, tighten all the muscles to the bones. Create as much tension in your body as you can. You might even squeeze your eyes together, squeeze the nose towards the eyebrows, your lips together. Tighten all the muscles in your face. I don't know if you can see that on camera. It might look really funny, feels funny, but it feels good. Take a big breath into all of that space and that tightness, and then exhale. Sigh it out your mouth and let it go. And then making any subtle adjustments for yourself for your final relaxation. The position that you need for your body. And this practice of yoga draws us in. Where we can't get away from ourselves. We can't hide from ourselves. So that can be an opportunity or it can be a detriment. And we decide which one. What are we ready for? And I believe that the universe only gives us what we're ready for. So in this space of relaxation, be ready and be present for whatever it is that comes up. And meet it with loving kindness.
Imaging or experiencing the form of your body. Feel the flow of your breath. Just letting your breath breathe you in and out. The practice we did today is very simple mechanically, but it has deep emotional value. Flexion and extension are the two most natural movements that our nervous system makes when we have a fear response. Begin to move your body in any way you'd like. And before you come out of your Shavasana, take one more of those full, deep body stretches. Allow your back to arch. It's what we call the startle response. We see it as small infants, we do it very naturally. It's part of our voluntary nervous system. And we arch our back and we puff up our chest in an effort to ward off. Let go of that. Let it all go and relax. And then when you're ready, you can roll to one side and hug your knees into your chest and create that fetal curl position, the flexion of the spine. And that's the other most natural, instinctual position our body finds to that fear response. The rounding, the protecting. And allow yourself to be in that space of protection. And when you're ready, you can bring yourself back up to a seated position if you'd like. Finding the space of neutrality. Not needing to ward anything off or protect ourselves by curling into a ball. It's all parts of our reptilian brain, that brain stem that we don't always catch. We don't always notice when we do those things in life. Notice also how you're breathing. And take a few full breaths in and out. Value that breath. That is your connection to life. Your reminder of life. If you'd like to, you can take your hands to the center of your heart. Think of someone that you want to send protection to. Loka, Samasta, Sukhino, Bhavantu. Namaste, and thank you.